Okay. Yay. So who wants to share? Anyone? Don't be shy. Yay. Let's hear it, girl.
My one of the biggest things is, I mean, it's a really hard read, but something that really hit me hard was where it talks about how time is an illusion and how you can live in the past, you can live in the future, but in reality, we're only just living right now. So anything you want in the future, you have to put it in now. That makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. Is anyone else seeing her choppy?
Okay, sorry, did you get that?
I heard it. Yeah, you are a little choppy for some reason. Is that just me?
Oh, I live in a small hamlet with really bad internet.
Yeah, I feel you, girl. I feel you. It's okay. I think that was one of my biggest takeaways too, was that the time is an illusion. That hurt my brain.
It really did. It was craziness. And I'm reading it and I'm going, but it all makes sense because in reality, we are only just in right now.
Exactly.
So we have right now.
Yeah. And like the way that he says, can you be in the past? No. Can you be in the future? No, you can only be right now. There is not really a future. It's just now, always. And so when we make goals and we're like, oh, like in a year from now, I want this, or in 6 months from now. I mean, goals are great because they show us where we're going. So it's like where they're pointing us in the direction of where we want to be. But at the same time, like God, source, universe, like whatever you call it by, it's like, what is that 6 months? Like it makes no sense because we only created time. It's not really a thing. I know that hurt my head. I love it. Who else wants to share a takeaway? Yay. I love that other people are reading this book with me because I'm like, I cannot read this book alone. I need other people to talk to about this stuff. Anyone else want to share? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Michelle, do you want to share? I'm like, I'm going to just start calling people out.
I was just doing a boomerang, that's all. Okay, the first chapter, I was like, oh, the quantum physics thing. I was like, had my marker out, I read and highlight. And I was like, oh dear, what is this book? And then it took right off. I loved it. The money is not real. It represents value. That just like really got to me. I loved that. The I am, like, I know we talk about that when we have our coaching and our business building and stuff like that, but it just kind of went over everything that we talk about, is how you know, say I am and not I want and I'm trying and all of that. Like, I love that, just kind of went over and over. The time thing, like that, living in the present, it's now, it keeps going back to the past is now, like all of that. That was so great. Loved it.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just really good. I really enjoyed it. It took a little bit to get into it, like that first chapter is kind of, but yeah, love it. Really good.
Yeah.
I love the I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy, how it keeps repeating itself.
Yes.
And every time you read it, you're like, yes, right? It just like really gets into your head. I love it.
I know, right? You did that on purpose.
Yes, I know. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Good pick, Chloe.
Good. Yay. I got it sent to me by my coach, actually, and she sent it to everybody. And at first I was like, oh, this is like really deep. And then it gets like, for some reason, it gets easier and easier to understand, which is weird because it also gets harder in some ways. Cheryl's like, yes. The what money really is, like that really hit me, because if we are just chasing money, we're missing the point, because money isn't real, right? It's like a shadow of something. And I loved that. Like, just knowing, like, what does the money do for you? If you want the money, like, what is the money? What does the money do for you? And what are you doing to get the money? Like that exchange of value, I found so powerful. And it has changed the way that I set goals and the way that I think around money. So I loved that. Who else wants to share? This is fun. I've never been in a book club before, you guys. I feel like an adult. Yeah. Who else wants to share? Janet, you want to share?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so for decades, quantum physicists have proven that when you observe something, it changes the outcome of the thing that you observe.
Mhm.
Okay, so my question is, how does that, like, that's a big thought to wrap your mind around. Like, I'm not seeing life as it is. I'm changing life through
Mhm.
my view. So how does that relate to COVID? Think about that.
Oh, yes.
How does that relate to the forest fires and COVID and these unbelievable catastrophic things that are going on in the world? Like, us as observers, like, how much energy do we put into making that real?
I
Because
love.
us observing is changing the outcome of what is being observed. So think about that. Like,
Oh, 100%. If you take this like what you're learning right here, when you think about how many unhealed people are walking around and putting out like unhealed negative energy, it's like when we look at the outer stuff going on and we see the doom and gloom, it is 100% we need to change inside as a species to see the outcome on the outside. So when I see this stuff, I think like there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear energy. And it's like we, as much as we co-create our reality with the creator, we also have to think we're also co-creating with each other. So some people might be like, oh, this doesn't really scare me, this fire, and maybe they go untouched. And then other people might have a lot of fear energy towards it. And so like they're more focused in on it. I mean, it's really fascinating to dig deep and to realize that, you know, perception is reality. And if you want to dig even deeper into that, when you think about like people who watch the news, I'm sorry if you watch the news, but like that is fear-based perception. And so if we take that in, that becomes the reality. So he who controls the programming in turn controls the reality, because the masses watch a lot of fear-based programming. And so we see a lot of destruction. And then there's also nature. Nature has to go through, right, destruction to create. Like this forest fires do also need to happen in a sense to make clearing for the new growth and for the new ways and to get rid of all the old. So I mean, I think it's a collection of so many things, but I think a big thing is what we're seeing in the world right now is a lot of fear and unhealed people. But I also see it, as much as that sounds like, oh, that's a bummer. I will just lift it up and say I've seen more people wake up and more people step into like their truth and their light and like evolve quicker in this last year than I think I've ever seen it in my 37 years anyway. Anyone else feel that? Like people are really like changing, the conversations are changing and I'm here for it. Yeah. But yeah, quantum physics, it's like I have a crush on it, as Brittany said. I'm like, I love it. It fascinates me. I could read about it all the time. And I'll pass it off in one sec. But what he said too about like, if you're going to build your house, you need to know like what you're using to build that house. You need to have a detailed, like drawn out, and then what materials are you using? So it's like, if we're going to create wealth and happiness and change this world, we need to know the tools we're playing with, right? And so that's why the quantum word can sound scary. Janet, I know you've done this kind of stuff for so long, so you probably, it wasn't hard for you to read because I know that you're into this kind of stuff too. But like for some people who it's brand new, it might seem hard, but it does get easier as you go through the book. And just remember what he says is you don't need to understand everything you're reading. It's okay if you don't. It's okay if it goes right over your head, because it is getting in on a level that you don't understand yet, if that makes sense.
actually, I don't know that it's so much getting in as it's coming out, Gloria.
Ah, yes.
You know, it's like everything we need already is contained within us.
Yes.
It's bringing it forth. He talks about that in the book too. Like all the wealth that I could ever wish for, I already have. I'm just not experiencing it. And look at why I'm not experiencing it.
Yes. Ooh,
You know,
yes, it's so true. My mom used to say when I was younger that there was like a room in heaven that had everything that was meant for me. And I just had to ask for it and believe that it was mine and it would be mine. And I used to think, okay, mom, that's so weird. And now I'm like, she was right.
she was right. Yeah.
She was right. And my grandma knew it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who else wants to share their biggest takeaway? This is so fun. Anyone? Oh, Cheryl, yes.
Okay, so we are actually right in the middle of this fire. We've been evacuated for over a week now. And so I've spent a lot of time at the evacuation center.
Mm.
And can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I just like stand there and it's so negative, it's so angry, and people just want somebody to be angry at, and it's just devastating. So then I just would like put on my my earbuds, and I was reading the book. I was reading it in line, and one time I was in line, like you're there for hours, so you're stuck between two people for hours, and some people you just don't want to like talk with, right? But then there was this one guy. He was, I'm pretty sure he lost his home now, because he was up at Bow Park. But we had an insane conversation, and it goes right along with this book. He didn't even see my book yet. Like, he didn't even know I was into it, but he was just, we just started chatting, and apparently there's this really crazy website. It's canadacc.org or something, and it's like quantum. I have it written down. I'll have to look at it, but it's like it was so in line with what I was, what we're going, reading through and everything. It was so crazy, and then he was like, "Are you a healer?" I'm like, what? I don't even know. He's like, I think you need to look into this. Like,
Yeah.
and he has a really thick accent. So I didn't catch everything he said, but I'm like, we exchanged emails. I mean, we've been emailing a little bit. He's so sweet. He's just like the kind of, him and his wife. They're just the sweetest people ever. And talking about the world just wanting or focusing on fear and stuff like that, I got asked if I would do an interview with the news. So I was like, oh, well, okay. Like I was kind of in a hurry. So I did a quick little interview, and I said so many positive things. I was like, yeah, this is like truly, truly devastating for so many people. But I'm like, it's just stuff. Like, it just makes me think, use your china. Why is it in a box downstairs in the basement? I've got like grandma's china, my Oma's china. I'm like, use the freaking china. And I was saying stuff like this. And the only thing that they pulled out from the clip was, it is so incredibly devastating. That's what they put on. But then I got so many messages.
Oh, wow.
And I got so many messages. People I don't even know were stopping me in the street, and they were like, I just loved your positivity. Like, you're just amazing. I didn't even know these people. And the clip that they pulled was not positive.
Aw,
It wasn't a
but-
positive thing, but it was just 70% of your energy and 30% of what you say.
Yes.
And even if they tried to make me look and say something that wasn't completely positive, it came out positive. Isn't that crazy?
Not to me, because I like I know we communicate through our energy more than anything verbal.
Yeah.
So
True.
Yeah.
that's amazing. And what an amazing outlook that you have. Like, seriously, incredible.
Yeah.
And you're even here tonight and you're like evacuated right now and you're on this call. Like, you're so amazing, Cheryl. Give it up for Cheryl. We're all going to send you good energy that your house, everything will be okay.
Yeah, we literally watched the fire from across the lake. We kind of know where our house is, and it looked like it burned right around our house. But ever since it started, I'm like, I just feel like it's gonna be okay. Like, I honestly feel like it's gonna be okay. And then once a day, I let myself have some emotions.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, every day you can cry a little bit, like just a little bit, but don't follow your emotions, right? Yeah, go with your feelings.
You're amazing, Cheryl. We're praying for you, girl. Sending you all the good juju. Yeah. Aw. Thank you for sharing. It's like, who wants to follow that? Does anyone else want to share? I mean, I can just keep talking. Oh, yay, Megan.
Hey guys. Yeah, no, I'm gonna pop in really quick because it's like half bedtime around here right now. So
I get it.
but you know what, when I saw this, seriously, I was so excited because about 4 years ago, we did this with my congregation. And I remember all the stuff I pulled out of it and how like it really just like manifested and pressed into my life. And what I've come to learn just from you popping it back up, we need old tools often. And if we're not keeping that consistency, I know this is kind of off topic, but not really. And I was just so excited because I was like, I probably would have never read this book again, like ever. And when I was first reading again, I really missed, like, I know I feel like I'm kind of copying, but those powers of the I am tools, right? Like, you know, when you think about I am abundance, I am wealth, I am joy, and it constantly repeats all the way through the book. And it's so empowering. And to hear things like money is illusion, you're kind of like, what do you mean money is an illusion kind of thing, right? My brain was like mind blowing. And oh no, sorry, it's just so much challenging. And when I saw the opportunity for a book club, I was like, you know what, this is going to be the momentum that I need to really press like back into my business, because it's my lifestyle, it's everything. I use the products everywhere. And when I got the moment, when I saw the post, I went, I need this, because it's like, I don't know, it's that empowering moment where we all get to share our wins, and we get to share, you know, sometimes a little bit of a struggle, which is so fantastic. And I'm just super excited to be on this endeavor, although I'm a little bit bummed that it's like, I'm going to read good because we're going camping, which I'm super grateful for, but I'm going to, like, I hope I don't miss any Zooms, because this part is what I live for. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest takeaway when I think about the book as a whole, but even just that first chapter, is it expands our tent pegs beyond what we know, right? It's just that, or what we think we know. And I'm just super excited to go through it again. Like, I totally have goosebumps, and I'm just like, yay. So that's my quick share, because I can hear my baby again, but I'm listening in the background.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful share. I love that. And there is power in numbers. Like, that is even something it's talked about in the Bible, right? When two or more come together, and they talk about it in this book too. When you like come together and learn this, like as a group, it makes it more powerful, right? Like, we are so much more powerful together. So that's why I was like, oh, we have to do a Zoom, because like, it's one thing just to write under a post what your takeaway is. But I think that this just keeps us like accountable and together on the journey that is this book. Yeah, one thing that I loved so much that I have to share with you guys, I did not pick this up the first time, but the second time around I did. And it's the simplest thing, but it was like, whew, hit my heart. It said, anybody who's achieved like great wealth, great success, knew the goal, but they never knew the path and how it would unfold.
Right.
That part is not for us to know, right? But we can have the goal. And I went, oh my gosh, that is 1000% like truth into my heart, because when I joined Young Living, I didn't know anybody in this town. And I remember, like, my family still is not really oily. Like, on my dad's side, yeah, a few, but my mom's side are like a hard no, don't talk to me about your weird thing. So like, I didn't have a lot of people at the beginning who were like all in, but I knew I was going somehow. I was like, I'm going to be a silver, and I just knew it. And the path that unfolded, I never could have dreamt up. Like if I would have tried
Right.
to imagine it, like never. And so I think it's so important that knowing that nobody knows how it's going to unfold, because we get so lost in the how as humans. We're like, but how? I have this goal, but like, how would that ever happen? And who would be the people and who's going to get me there? But if we're in that, then we're giving our power away, because that's not our power. That's something bigger than us, you know?
Mhm.
And so for me, that part this time around, I was like, who? And it hit me because I've been in the how for my next goal. And I went, oh my gosh, you just need to know with certainty that it is yours already. Like, stop questioning how you're going to get from point A to point B. That's not your job. So that part really hit me as well. There were so many good parts. I don't even know. All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Yes, Lynn.
Hello. I don't really have anything to add. I just really liked what you just said, though. And I remember reading that. The thing is I've got the audio, and I thought I had written some little nuggets down, but I can't find them anywhere. And I can't actually remember all the chapters. So everything you guys are saying, I can remember those things, but anything other than that, I can't. But what you just said, Gloria, I think that's awesome, because yeah, you can get lost in the in between there, right? Totally. And lost as into either trying too hard or maybe comparing yourself to somebody else, or just, yeah, I don't know. I think you can really get lost, and you just have to know it's there and it's going to happen. It will happen the right way, and you don't need to know how.
Yes. Give it up for Lynn.
Yeah.
And it's so true. If we get caught in the how or in comparison, right? Comparison can be a real, and it can eat us alive. Like, there are people who signed up and went to Diamond in like a year. If I look at that, I'm going to think, oh my gosh, this is my 5th year. Like, what a failure. But I don't feel like that, because it's like, if I actually look at the people who have hit Diamond in a year, they were building their online social media presence for 7 years before they said yes to the starter kit. So they had like 100,000 people following them. It's like, of course
Right.
they did it quicker. So if we actually look at under the iceberg of success, because we see people's success and we're like, oh my gosh, like, look at them. It's just so easy, but it's never easy. And we always have to do the work, and it looks maybe different coming in. Some people do it after they say yes, and some people do it the work before they say yes. And so we can't compare. And again, it just gives our power away. Like Janet said, we have everything already inside of us that we need. Like, it's all in there, right? And so if we're looking for like that outer, it's like we're giving that power away. But that being said, oh my gosh, it's so easy to get caught in that, right? So it's like grace, so much grace, right? Like Cheryl said, have your moment if you need your moment, and then you like pick yourself back up. We're all allowed to have moments, right? Just don't get lost there. That's the thing. Yeah. Another thing, and this is something that I've been learning for a while now. I was just reminded of the Lone Nut video. That's the best video ever. Can you post it in our book club group after this call? Something that I've been learning for a while now. I'm sure some of you have read. Has anyone read The Untethered Soul? Oh boy. Well, that might be another book club, guys. I don't know.
That's up next on my list.
Yes, that's another one that makes your brain like, but what he talks about is how you're not your mind. You're not your mind. Because if you can observe your thoughts going by, that's not who you are. If you can observe something, that's not you, right? So it's like when you realize that you are not your mind, and same with your emotions, you can observe your emotions, right? if you're feeling something, you can go like, you can look at it from a higher vantage point and go, I'm feeling this way. Why do I feel this way? Like you can reason with your emotions if you're not identifying with them. Same with your thoughts. You can reason with it if you're not identifying. And so then the question is, if we're not our mind and we're not our emotions, like, well, what the heck are we? It's like we are like this love and spaciousness that holds all of that. And we don't have to like live in the mind or in the emotion. Like if we're identifying with those two things, like life can be harder than it has to be sometimes, right? And it's easy, again, sometimes we just like get stuck there for a minute, but awareness is everything. So he said he touches on you're not your mind, and when you realize that you can use your mind as a powerful tool, but that's not who you are, your whole world is going to change. So he hasn't gotten into like the details of that yet, so I won't give too much away, but that is huge when you realize that you don't have to follow every thought that goes by in your head. It's the most empowering thing that I've ever experienced, is realizing that like your mind can tell lies to you, right? And the mind can be sometimes a not nice place to live. And so when we take its power away and we tell it what to think, and we can change those thoughts for empowering ones, we can absolutely change our life, because thoughts become things. Right? Which we're going to learn about in the next few chapters. We're going into like the quantum stuff, which for me is like, it's so exciting. Michelle's like, I'm scared. But it's so, the way that he explains it, like I've read quite a few books on kind of this stuff, but I find that his way of explaining it is like really easy to understand. Like he gives you really easy examples. And so that's why I was like, this is so good, because if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough, right? So he does a good job of that. All right, lovelies. Does anyone else have anything they want to add before we go? Janine, you want? No, she's like, no, I'm good. I'll get you one day. Maybe not yet. The biggest thing I think to like take away from the first 3 chapters, and I kind of said it at the beginning, is just don't be hard on yourself. Don't expect everything to stick the first time around, right? Just like read it and just be like unattached. Like just let what falls fall, and like leave the rest, and then come back and maybe read it in 6 months or in a year or whatever. Because things will land different with each time you come back. And we kind of know that from other personal development books, right? You go to an event and someone says something, you're like, that's amazing. And someone's like, I've told you that like 5 times. And you're like, you just weren't ready to hear it, right? So yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think too, like us all getting together on here and just sharing our takeaways are going to help things sink in just a little bit different than maybe if we just read it all on our own, right? Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to post this replay up in the group as well. And if you had people that you wanted here tonight that weren't here, just make sure you tag them in it. And Tanya's going to post the lone nut video in the group so that everyone can see what one lone nut can do. Right? Like we can truly make massive changes in this world with this information. It's amazing, right? I love it. All right, everybody. Mwah. Go enjoy your Monday night, and good luck with bedtime, Mama. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.